Welcome to the Aksarben Mortgage Podcast, hosted by John Mortgage Major, powered by VRLY. This is where we interview top mortgage, real estate professionals, industry insiders, operational managers, and thought leaders from around the nation, diving into hot current topics to help you experience your good life.
Welcome back to the Aksarben Mortgage Podcast. As you know, we dive into mortgages, but we don't always get into the weeds with mortgages. We're talking to people about life experiences, cutting the surface shit, and talking to people like Byron, Thompson, who are really making a difference to the community. Impact and influence is the name of the game. So if you like what you've seen, please do share it with your people. Share it with your people. We want to make a difference. Byron Thompson, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to chop it up with you a little bit here.
Yeah, no, me too. I mean, you're one of those guys. Happiness is the North Star. I saw that. That's kind of one of your mentalities. Dude, it's a way of life, so keep being you.
I appreciate that, man. I believe in that more than anything. I don't know if anybody would believe me if I told them that, but that's really all it's about, man.
You believe it to the depths of your soul?
I mean, I wouldn't do anything else in life if it didn't make me happy.
I love it. Life's too short to not.
Well, that's what they say. It's also the longest thing you ever do. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It is.
Yeah, that we know of.
That's fair. Yep.
Man, so yeah, I mean, I feel like we could talk all day, but there's certain things that I know in your life that I think people would love to hear your perspective on is, obviously with your mindset, I mean, 75 hard, I know you're a big Andy Frisella guy, Mamba mentality. Mindset's just a big part of your everyday existence, which with the happiness kind of coexists, I'm sure.
Yeah, no question.
When'd you get involved with your first 75 hard?
I got involved with 75 hard in 2019. So 2019, I had happened to come across that podcast, the MFCEO podcast, and that's where Andy kind of introduced it to the world, right? So it was around that time I actually got challenged by my accountability partner. He challenged me and he said, hey, I'm running a marathon this year. And I said, okay, well, have fun with that. That sounds, like something I have no desire to be a part of, honestly. And
me neither.
Yeah, and he challenged me and said, if it's something that you're afraid of, you probably need to dive head first into it. That's a clear sign you need to take off into it. And man, I jumped right into that, and in that marathon training, it's 75 hard kind of was introduced at the same time, and I was like, man, that sounds like entirely too much to take on at the same time. But then the same thing that he said to me is like, if you're afraid of doing it, it's probably something that you need to do. It's like, you know what? Okay, I'm going for it. I'm doing it. I'm doing them both right here, right now. So, and I don't know if all your listeners know what 75 hard is, but what 75 hard is basically every day for 75 days, you have 5 simple tasks that you have to complete, right? They call them simple, but because they're simple, but not always easy to do for 75 days in a row. So for 75 days, you have to follow a diet. Any diet, doesn't matter what diet it is, as long as it's in line with your goals. So follow a diet, no cheat meals, no alcohol whatsoever, 75 days.
In a row, 75
days in a row. Yep. No changes, no excuses, no nothing. Zero compromises. You drink a gallon of water every day. So for 75 days, drink at least a gallon of water. I see you got your big gallon going already. So
I got that one covered.
You're on your way. You're almost there.
One sip at a time.
That's it. That's what it takes. You read 10 pages of a nonfiction, self-help, entrepreneurship type book per day. So just minimum 10 pages just to get in a really good habit of reading.
Audible count?
Audible does not count. Does not count. 10 physical pages.
Ooh, tangible, kind of like the real estate piece.
Yeah, and there's some cool reasons for that. And it's kind of cool to actually, if you're not a reader, to actually see yourself, see that bookmark move across the page just as, a couple days go by in a month or whatever. You see the bookmark move across the book, and it's actually kind of an interesting feeling. Like it's a really fulfilling feeling.
It's kind of like touching cash. You don't do it as much anymore.
That's right.
Yeah.
But having that tangible reminder is actually, it has a profound effect on you. So,
sure.
You do that, those 3 things. 4th thing is you do you do 2 workouts every day for 45 minutes, at least 45 minutes. One of them has to be outside, right? Because you can't always control the circumstances when it's outside. I mean, a couple weeks ago it was -20, -13, -10, right? you can't always control the circumstances, but you got to get it done. So
Exactly.
That's the other one, 2 45-minute workouts. And then the last one is you got to take a progress photo every day for 75 days, just so you have a nice kind of flip book of see where you started and where you came. Because, when you do like little stuff like this every day, you don't see big changes, the first day or the first week or whatever. And a lot of times that's enough to motivate you to stop doing it. Like, I haven't seen enough results. Why am I still doing this?
Right.
But
which I've seen your before and after.
Yeah. And
it's like, wow. I'm
no
sure it was the
question.
same thing for you when you took those pictures.
That's exactly right. But when you look at yourself every day, you're like, yeah, I'm not changing that much. I'm not changing that much. But then you see the big contrast from, 1 to 30, 1 to 50, 1 to 75. Okay, there's really, the needle's actually moving here. So that's kind of the point of that. And you just complete those 5 tasks every day for 75 days.
75 days.
Before you know it, you start to see a lot of the mental effects of it take shape, and you start to see yourself transform a little bit. So
How many times have you done it?
I've done it 3 times now, going through for a 4th one. And
Right
I'm
now?
telling you learn something different every time. Yeah, I'm doing one right now. Yep.
What day are you on?
I'm on day 5.
Day 5.
Yeah, day 5.
So every time, I'm sure it gets a little bit easier, but you still have those inner voices like,
I'll be honest with you. It for me, it actually gets harder each time you do it. And the reason why I say that is because the first time you do it, you're excited, right? You're like, I told everybody I'm going to do this. I can't wait to do it. I can't wait to see what comes out of it. And once you've done it, you kind of know what to expect. The next time you do it, it's like, well, why am I doing this? Like, I've already done it once. I know what happens. I know how it makes me feel. Is there you start to get those inner conversations that say, do you have to do it again?
you don't need it.
Do you need it? Right. Everybody's out at the bar tonight. I could go stop by. There's a lender that I know that might want to take me to lunch right now, or there's a client I could meet out. We could just go grab a drink. And there are so many reasons why you don't have to after you've already completed something. And I think it's an interesting challenge that you get to see once you've already done something like that. So.
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
Kudos to you. I mean, mastering the monotonous can be difficult. And that's where that inner voice too is constantly trying to control you, but being aware of it and focusing back on, what's your mission and what were the results of doing the 75 hard. I'm sure there was profound effects and everything else in your life, as far as personally, how you felt physically, mentally, spiritually, and just, person you are, I'm sure had an impact.
Yeah, you couldn't be more spot on with that. You couldn't be more spot on with that. The learnings that I got about myself through doing that, when you talk about happiness being the North Star, you go through something like that it's challenging, but at the end of it, you're so proud of yourself, and you start to realize, like, what are the things that actually are making me happy in the middle of it. This is one thing. It's interesting because we talked about this before, but you mentioned how 75 hard might be tough because for you, like, you really like to drink beer.
I do.
Yeah. One of the things that I found out, like, in going through 75 hard, like, I took that time away from it, and I just got to be really honest with myself. It's like, I'm not sure I like beer that much, to be honest with you. Like, I don't even know if I like beer that much. And I have it all the time because a lot of times it's what's free at events, it's free at weddings, it exists everywhere. Busch Light is probably the state drink of Nebraska, right?
Uh-huh.
And I just came
Busch
to find
Latte.
out. Yeah, Busch Latte, the blue yum yum. And
But by taking a step back, allowed you to reassess and really know if that was something that you were just doing because society told you that's what's the norm, or it was something you truly enjoyed.
That's exactly right.
Interesting.
And then after I had and it wasn't not even just the opportunity to step back away from it, but the opportunity to actively say, no, sorry, I can't have one tonight. Mm-hmm. And seeing how there was a time where I thought, if you said no to somebody who offered you a beer, like, does that say something about you? Like, what does that say about you as a person? Like, what does that say about
Byron?
me? Yeah. Byron, are you the guy who turns down a free beer? And what I come to find out is people don't really care, right? They don't mind.
They don't. Like, if you have a cup in your hand too, they don't know what you're drinking.
Exactly right. Exactly
You're just playing
right.
games with yourself.
You know what I mean?
Assuming.
And being able to say no to people taught me that, I can say no to things like that. And also through finding out that maybe it's not something I really actually like having. Like, okay, so when this comes up later, you can actually just make a different choice. And, man, you talk about happiness, like things like something like having a beer that you don't really want. now I can make a different choice. And kind of 75 Hard is like one of the precursors that really taught me about how to take that experience and translate it into areas like social life and also in business, in a big way in business, especially when you talk about mastering just the monotony of doing simple things every day and seeing how it has a profound effect over time. So
those daily disciplines.
Yeah, it's been a transformative process. It's something that I'm pretty much committed to doing for life. So it's a program where you have the 75 days, and then there's 3 30-day periods that you do throughout the year that also kind of just reset your clock and just rewire you into really knowing what those disciplines are in your life that mean a lot to whatever you're trying to build or whatever you're trying to create. So,
love it. Kind of reminds me too, for those of you that are familiar with Gary Keller, he has a book called The One Thing. And people just think, oh, well, it's just about one thing. It's not about one thing. It's about a sequential order in regards to how to be extremely successful that trickle effects to everything else. So like spiritually, that's like the top piece, which would be like a guided meditation, which then allows you to be grateful. And then mind and body and everything kind of forms to everything you do in life. And I'm sure it's a lot of the same type of stuff to where it's setting you up for success based on quality habits on a day-to-day basis.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So for the viewers that don't know, you're a real estate agent, advisor at Berkshire Hathaway.
Indeed.
Home services ambassador real estate, is that right?
You got it. It's a mouthful, but you got it. Yeah.
Good. How long you been doing that?
So this is year number 3. Year number 3 for me.
Year number 3.
Yep.
Awesome. And I'm like 23. So Kobe Bryant is your favorite basketball player of all time?
Of all time.
Since
I was, knee high to a duck. Oh, yeah.
I love it. So is that Mamba mentality, is 75 Hard, has that played a role into the real estate agent you are today?
Man, I got to tell you, it's created anything that I've been able to do in real estate. It's really at the center of it, right?
And your perfect scores in bowling, of course.
Yeah.
This guy is
that's a whole other
bowler. Yeah. Not that we need to go there, but
yeah. See, I'm almost as good at bowling as you are at squash, but
I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. So no, those things are paramount to like what I do in my business, right? So as a real estate agent, we get a lot of our business through like our network and people that we know and the relationships that we've built over the years and years and years that we've been on this earth, right? For me, I was in a very different situation than a lot of my peers in real estate because right now I live in Omaha, obviously, but this is not where I grew up. Like, there's not a massive network of friends, family, colleagues, peers from middle school, high school, college. I didn't have a massive, vast network from years and years and years built up coming into this business. And no question, it helps, right? We're in a relationship business, right? Mm-hmm. And those things matter. So, the hundreds of relationships that I've cultivated or thousands, over the years don't necessarily help me because those people all live in different states, right? So for me, trying to build my business, I had to come in and take a little bit of a different approach from a prospecting perspective where I had to find strangers to reach out to and try to help in the real estate game. And that's where that simple daily discipline came into play, right? So for me, when I started, what I learned was that, man, if I could just have 10 conversations with strangers, with people that I've never met, talked to before every day, I don't know what it'll produce, but we'll see what happens, right? So I just talk to 10 people a day just to try to get something started, right? Mm-hmm. Because, like I said, my friends from high school weren't buying houses for me because they all live in another state.
Right.
So, 10 people a day, and 3 months in, I finally find somebody who wants to buy a house. Okay, here we go. Then 3 months later, now I got 2 people who want to sell a house and 1 person who wants to buy a house.
So the gaps start to shrink.
That's exactly right. And it really came as a result of kind of doing those, just something small like that every day. And that's when you talk about like that Mamba mentality, that was Kobe's biggest thing, was like, if your job is to be the best at whatever it is, like, are you willing to show up and do what other people aren't doing? Mm-hmm. And, when I came into the game, obviously my peers, they had some much more vast networks, and they had been in the business for a lot longer. So I couldn't come in and do what they were doing. I had to come in and do it a little bit differently, right? And I had to be willing to come in and be uncomfortable. Like, I don't know if you've had to make a cold call, but if you've ever made a cold call, like, it's uncomfortable. Like, when you hear that first voice on the phone, you kind of want to just hang up, right? You kind of want to just hang up. So
I think I have done that before too. I mean, it's scary.
Yeah,
it's scary.
it is. It's nerve-wracking.
They answered?
They answered. What do I say? What do I say? I know what to say.
At the voicemail.
For whatever reason, you clam up, you get nervous. But, those, just knowing that was your job, was to be the best real estate agent that you could be, that means you have to be willing to do this in order to make it to where you say you're trying to go.
Well, and being aware of that too, I mean, it's huge.
No question.
And then intentionally on a day-to-day basis, having a number that you're consistently going after every single day. I mean, it's a compound effect that doing small activities daily on a long period of time will field results eventually.
No question.
It will. You're just increasing your luck factor.
I like the way you put that. That's not bad.
Well,
okay.
Thank you.
I like that.
You. Yeah. So that's awesome. I mean, so I guess within the real estate, you were telling me a little bit, for the viewers, obviously there's different ways to go about helping others and helping yourself in regards to, how you can, make a living, build wealth. Wholesaling is something that you've taken on lately in the last year?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
What is wholesaling?
So wholesaling is kind of it's a really interesting concept, right? So wholesaling is basically somebody who wants to sell their house. You make them an offer. If you guys agree on whatever price makes sense for both of you guys. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, if I was buying a house from you, right, we would agree on a price, and I'm going to buy the house from you at that price. Now, I can either go through with the buying of that house, or I can take the people that I've met and say, hey, I've got this house that I'm going to buy. Would you like to buy it for a different price than I bought it for? And then, without having to actually own the house and then sell it again, I can basically give someone else the rights to buy this house for a small fee of, just like if I was a realtor who was trying to list a property. But
so you're kind of a middleman.
It's kind of a middleman, yeah. I'm a liaison of sorts, right?
I like that.
Right, to just kind of help somebody who's already looking to sell their house into finding a buyer.
I like that. I tend to use that word every single day when explaining the title company, because there's basically that liaison between the buyer and the seller, to where all that money's flowing into title and then dispersing out to the different parties.
That's well put.
It's a good word, liaison.
I'll say it's a $5 word for you scholars out there. No.
We'll take it.
Absolutely. But yeah, no, it's kind of going back into the daily disciplines piece of it though. It's something that's kind of just come up in the nature of what I was doing, right? So I talked to you about cold calling and just reaching out to homeowners to find out, have they considered selling a property or what have you. And before you know it, you come across people who, are in different situations than other people, right? Somebody's moving because they had a baby. Somebody's moving because somebody's passed away. Somebody's moving because they've got a new job in a new state, right? And, that wholesaling thing really comes into play when, you come across a homeowner and they say, listen, I don't have time to list this house. I need this gone tomorrow. And so it's a situation where, for me, I was looking to invest in rental properties, much like Clint. I know you had Clint on the podcast already.
Yeah, Mr. Bartlett.
Yeah, Mr. Bartlett. I mean, rock star in the investment community. But obviously, being in real estate, I was interested in finding a way to start to build my own investments.
Yeah. How do I get in the door?
And then as people say, hey, do you want to buy it? I'll sell it. If you can come up with some money quick, I'll just sell it to you. I'll just get rid of it.
Right. He just wants it off.
I just don't want to deal with it. I just don't want to deal with it. And this is somewhere where, there tends to be like a potential for ethical issues when it comes to, as a real estate agent, right? Because we have an ethical obligation to let people know how much is their house truly worth, right? Mm-hmm. So, if you get in there and tell somebody, sorry, I can only give you $20,000 for this house that's actually worth $60,000. Well, now we have an ethical issue on our hands, right? And that's somewhere where I've really just tried to be really intentional about just making sure that people are armed with the best information that they can, and then giving them the agency to say, hey, you'll make more money if you do it this way. This one is what you've asked me for, and this is obviously, less time and hassle for you, but this one will make you more money. Which one do you really want to do, right? So just being able to give people the best information possible, and then enable them to use their own agency to kind of decide what does make sense for you, right? there's that ethical play when it comes to being a real estate agent that
Makes
you got to be
sense.
cognizant of, right?
Yeah.
And
Because it's a fiduciary responsibility to your clients
No
to make sure they're
question.
properly informed.
right.
But there's a lot of variables in people's lives, and that's what makes real estate so interesting is, you don't know where they're coming from. Like, what's their why? And then once you get that dialed in, you understand why they're willing to take potentially quite a bit less, because it's just not worth it.
That's exactly right.
Get it off my plate.
and there are people like that
for $20,000 too. Yeah, I mean,
know,
that's crazy.
And it seems far-fetched, to somebody on the outside looking in,
Right.
like, how could you possibly do that?
Right.
But we don't know what's going on in people's lives,
Right.
and and what that's doing to their mental state, right? Because when I talked about happiness is the North Star, I mean, like, if this is causing you an enormous amount of headache, like,
Happiness is worth more than $20,000.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And just like the old adage, a sick man only has one wish, right? But somebody who's well wants 1,000 things, right? If you're sick, you only want to get better.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So,
man, that speaks to me. It's so true, though. It is so true. Byron Thompson, thanks for coming on. Where can people find you online?
wow.
Instagram?
You're going to let me plug my stuff here? This
Absolutely.
is exciting. All right, cool.
Well, yeah, in the meantime, we'll take a review or two if you like our content. But yes, Byron is online, and he was probably up before you today already working out.
You're probably not
on
wrong.
your Insta story, correct?
You're correct. Every day. That's my accountability piece. I promised to some friends of mine that I'd put that accountability out there to say that, hey, I'm up. We're working out every day. But yeah, if you want to find me online, I'm Byron Thompson. There's very few of us out there, so Byron Thompson on Instagram. Some guy B, all one word. And
Guy B.
Interact with the Facebook and Instagram stories. Lots of real estate content, lots of workout, lots of mental toughness, lots and lots of fun. So
Go find him. He gets it. And thanks again for coming on.
that's it. Appreciate it. Thanks
Keep
for
on,
having me.
keep on. Absolutely.
Love it.